Magical love story. The tale of Cinderella. Once upon a time, in the most beautiful corner of distant lands, there was a magical kingdom where a happy reign prevailed. The king and queen of this kingdom had won everyone's love, being fair and kind-hearted people. However, one day the queen fell suddenly ill and passed away, plunging the king into deep sorrow. In order to honour the memory of his once beautiful queen, the king invited all the young girls from across the kingdom to the palace. A grand ball would be held at the palace, and the king would choose a bride from among the girls that night. This highly anticipated ball had captured the dreams of young girls from every corner of the kingdom. The day of the ball arrived, and the gardens and halls of the palace were adorned magnificently. The guests wore their most beautiful attire, sparkling with jewels. Among them, young Ella sat on a makeshift chair made of wood, far from wealth and splendour. Because Ella's mother had been a loyal servant to the king, and Ella herself had led a modest life by her mother's side. As the night of the ball progressed, Ella's saddened heart eased. Like the other young girls, she also tried to capture the prince's attention. However, as the night wore on, Ella grew tired and decided to step out into the garden to cool off. It was then that she suddenly encountered a shimmering light in the garden. A fairy appeared and bestowed a magical touch upon her. Ella's eyes sparkled as her ordinary dress transformed into a magnificent ball gown, and the most elegant glass slippers adorned her feet. The fairy warned Ella to be careful, and not to leave the palace until midnight. Gratefully, Ella returned to the ball. However, the prince was enchanted by Ella's beauty and danced with her all night. In the late hours of the night, Ella suddenly remembered the promise she had made to the fairy. She hurriedly fled from the palace, but she lost one of her glass slippers. The prince searched everywhere to find her, but Ella managed to elude him. Time passed, and tales of Ella's beauty and grace spread throughout the kingdom. One day the prince found Ella's slipper and set out to find her. Eventually he reached the small cottage where Ella lived and found her. Thanks to the magical touch bestowed upon her by the fairy, Ella reunited with the prince, and they fell deeply in love. When the prince put on Ella's slipper, the magic returned, revealing Ella's true identity. They embraced each other and returned to the kingdom happily, where they lived together. And so, Ella, a modest girl, became the princess of the kingdom and won a place in everyone's heart. Her tale ended with happiness and love,